Hi, everyone. My name is Patricia Rubio. I am the Diversity Inclusion Program Coordinator here at CCL. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today and giving us a little bit of your time after a busy week. It's so greatly appreciated. This was a huge labor of love, and we're so happy to be sharing this moment with you. And we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all the folks from behind the scenes. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm also a leader of the Differently Abled Action Team here at CCL. And I'd like to move forward and give you an introduction to our speaker, our presenter. Enough of me. I'd like to introduce you to a wonderful human, just a kind soul and with such a giving heart, Arlene J.M. Grant Esquire. And Arlene is an activist, an artist, attorney, author, educator, humanitarian, podcast host, and creative director of Arlie Speaks Media, LLC. Arlene serves to engage the well-being of others through multisensory techniques as a certified nutritionist and relaxation coach. Arlene helps activists to recover from chronic conditions related to anxiety, stress, and trauma. Her mission, which has touched every continent, is to encourage climate advocates to remember they are part of the environment, deserving of care and regeneration. As a CCL member, she leads and organizes the in-depth 12-week Monday evening program called ONGO. Through this program, volunteers develop their skills for facing their greatest challenges by deepening connections with others in pursuit of what they value most. ONGO provides practices to learn mindfulness, nonviolent communication, gratitude, forgiveness, and more. You can find Arlene on social media at I am Arlie Speaks, and we will also put that in the chat. We'll make sure that you have those so that you can keep up with all the wonderful things that Arlene does. And without further ado, I would like for everyone to now get ready for Arlene. Arlene, go ahead and take it away. Whisk us away.
Hi, can everybody hear me okay? Yeah? Okay, so I am thankful for such an awesome introduction, Patricia. Thank you. I am humbled and touched. I am here because I was privileged to get an invitation. And I say it's a privilege because anytime you're able to help somebody, it's a privilege. And not only is helping somebody beneficial to them, it helps you. So a lot of times in society, we focus on that, but we don't think about the fact that we need to, as the doctor spoke earlier, need to deposit into ourselves. So I'd like for Ricky to offer a poll right now for you. And I'd like for you to take a moment, please, and just answer this poll for us. And it really is about what well-being you're exercising for yourself. Or even if you do. And your responses are confidential, by the way. So when you answer the poll, don't worry about someone else knowing what you said. We just get the data, and that data is helpful for the session today.
Arlene, could you just confirm that you're able to see the results as they're coming in right now?
I don't see any results.
Oh, okay. Let me know when you're ready to end the poll and the results will be shown then. Sorry about that.
That's okay. We have another 30 seconds to give you a chance to go ahead and answer the poll. And then Ricky will show us the results. And while you were waiting, I encourage you to get some water or tea, a favorite drink, if you've already answered the poll, and something to write with. Okay, the results. Ooh, okay. All right. Well, I'm so glad to see that so many are. And I am so glad to see that there are those who are not yet aware and have an opportunity to learn. So, and thank you for the Ongo link, Salome. Ongo just started this current class on Monday. There's still kind of time to join if you want to catch up. All right, so thank you for the poll. Ricky, let's go to the first slide. Okay, the full screen of it is not visible. I'm not sure why. Okay, you can try that again. All right, so this is an interesting thing. This is our introduction to why we're here, what we're doing. And it is in stillness, we rise together. What does that mean? Okay, so when we are moving around, we have this desire, this urgency to save the world. That's what activists do. I have sounded that alarm since I joined Greenpeace when I was like 8 years old. They knocked on the door and I said, this makes perfectly good sense to me. And I'm sure it makes perfectly good sense to all of you. So I spent a lot of my life running around helping everybody, but I didn't understand the power of stillness. What I'd like to do now is to demonstrate for you the power of stillness. We have a video that Ricky will pull up for you. And this video is an opportunity for you to sit back and be still. It's an opportunity for you to take in the waters, the sounds, and the life that is happening in nature. We're committed to protecting nature. Remember, you are nature in need of protection. It is scientifically proven, it's not just opinion, that when you slow down, you are more efficient. You know, then economics, we learn about the law of diminishing returns, right? If you do too much, there gets a point where you've reached the threshold and you can't go further. Some people call it burnout in current language for society. When you slow down, you're able to speed up. We're going to slow down now with this video. As you are experiencing this, I'd like for you to take some love and put that love in your hands. Thinking about all that you love. Your why for the environment might be a good starting place. And embrace yourself with it. And we're just going to just gently embrace ourselves, inhaling twice. And slowly exhaling through your mouth to the count of 4, 3, 2, and 1. Considering your why. Ricky, if you would start, please. The audio. Thank you. If you can put in the Q&A for us, and we'll have it for later, any questions you might have had about that. One thing that we do was to put love in our hands first. Love is one of the quickest ways to center yourself in the midst of stress, especially when you're getting ready for a lobbying meeting. You might have a little bit of stress, or just in dealing with everyday life. Echo anxiety is real. So, how do you manage that? What did I do? We changed music. During the break, we had music. Music was a way for us to shift gears. What you were actually doing was to change the neural pathways in your brain. It may not seem like a lot, but it's really effective. Earlier, we had some yoga movement. Moving is another way, and it doesn't have to be yoga. Calming yourself, which this quote says is your ultimate weapon to face life's challenges. So relaxation is underrated. There was a doctor who passed away. He was very old, but he passed away earlier in February. His whole theory was that if you got people to relax, you would be able to cure heart ailments. You would be able to help a lot of different things. And having touched every continent through my program, I'm agreeing with him. And I discovered him after he passed away. And I was sorry because I would have reached out to him to tell him and talk to him about what he said, because I do think it's that powerful. What I'd like for you to do now is to take a look at the next poll. And how do you relax? How do you relax? What do you do? Some people don't know how to relax. Some people, relaxation is difficult to sit still. And there are a lot of reasons for that. So one of the ways to relax might be writing a letter to your congressman, because you have done something. Even though you're not being completely still doing nothing, you have slowed your mind down. Writing an op-ed, you've slowed yourself down for a moment to get yourself into a place of relaxation. But there are other ways. And Ricky, if we have any results that have come in, I'm curious to see how people are relaxing. There was such a large percentage of people who engage in self-care.
We'll give everyone about 10 more seconds to get your votes in.
Okay.
I sound very relaxed, don't I?
You do. Inhaling twice and slowly exhaling for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Ooh, we have a lot. Eating well, really important. Connecting with nature, connecting with family and friends, really great. Not sure, that's a good thing, because there are opportunities for you to relax. Okay, there are different forms of relaxation. One is sleeping. Sleeping 7+ hours a night is ideal. And if you get to sleep by 10 p.m., it's a good time to aim for that. And the reason being is because the human growth hormones, they actually are most beneficial between 10 p.m. and 12 midnight. This allows your body to get into a greater place of healing. You know, I recently had a client that I coached through getting ready for a surgery, and she's a doctor. And we talked about how she needed to prepare, and her surgeon was happy to see her coloring something that I created for her to relax. Coloring is a way to relax. Painting is a way to relax. Dancing is a way to relax. Deliberate steps, slowing down, non-sleep rest, all ways in which you're able to relax and take advantage of your power. Next slide, please. So a little bit about me. Well, I feel like I don't need to say anything because Patricia did it so well. But the thing about CCL that makes me most grateful is that when I was more active in the DC chapter, now I'm more active on the action teams that are more national, I was given an opportunity to create a program to help my fellow activists relax. So I did that. And I found it to be the most rewarding thing. And I'd say thank you to Debbie and Max Broad, because they believed in what I could do and allowed me to take that risk. So CCL and my desire to help others changed my life. And so I'm promising you that it will change yours. The one thing that I cannot say, though, is that what we do here it does have therapeutic benefits. Several of you have been through programs that I've offered and have found relief and release, and that's a good thing. But this is not treating any type of condition or preventing anything, even though some people report it. And then also you're agreeing that by doing this, we're not responsible for your participation. We're just providing you an opportunity. So with that, I want us to advance to the next slide, and I'm excited. Remember that this is your opportunity to relax. Nature is painting for us day after day pictures of infinite beauty. This is an abstract painting of nature, which reminds me of the beach, which is my happy place. I would like for you to take a moment to sit back in your chair and exercise the power of your imagination. And I'd like for you to transport yourself to a place in nature where you experience infinite beauty. As you sit back and you allow yourself to experience that infinite beauty, I encourage you to inhale for 3, holding that and saying thank you to nature and that beauty, and exhaling for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's inhale again for 3, holding that appreciation for that infinite beauty and imagining it touching you, because I firmly believe that if you touch nature, it will touch you back. And exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let us go ahead now, give ourselves a hug in this place of safety, orienting yourself to your environment. It might be your room, it might be outside of a window, where you're able to take in the infinite beauty that surrounds you. Let's inhale for 3, holding that with appreciation, gratitude, and exhaling for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Next slide, please. If you want to put it in the chat, you are welcome to say how that experience was for you, or you can place it in the Q&A if you have a question about what you experienced. Okay, this is the Picasso of fishes. I think this fish is amazing. This is the rainbow flounder. The rainbow flounder to me is probably one of the most amazing creatures below the sea. It has the ability to adapt to its environment. It is born like regular fish with one eye on each side of its head. And then as it ages, something interesting happens. The right eye shifts over to the left side of its head, and its body shifts in orientation so that it flattens out. So the fish then starts to swim sideways and has the ability to scurry across the ocean floor. And as it scurries across the ocean floor, it is adapting to its environment. Sometimes when we want inclusion, sometimes when we want to stand with others to voice our concerns, whether we're in an underrepresented community or whether we are in a community that doesn't necessarily welcome us the way we want to, we are code switching. And this is probably the ultimate code switcher. It will switch to every single environment to protect itself, but also that it can survive. But notice that it hasn't lost its beauty in the midst of it. Interestingly, its eyes switch, and actually it should be this way, to the left. When its eyes switch, one eye is to look forward and the other eye is to look backwards. If one of those eyes isn't working, then it's not able to use its superpower. And that superpower is what we all have. If our eyes aren't working, we're not able to exercise our superpower. If we're not balancing how we manage the past, we're not going to be able to balance how we move forward in the future. So, taking a lesson from the rainbow flounder, or sorry, I should say peacock flounder, I encourage you to do this. Some people call it rainbow flounder, but it is the peacock flounder. I encourage you to do this now. Take your hands with that love that you have in it. I want you to cover your eyes. As you can see me doing, my hands are over my eyes, imagining myself like the peacock flounder. It's also called the flowery flounder. So many different names because it is so beautiful. Holding your hands to your eyes, I'd like for you to take some control over your breath. We are going to do a different type of breathing. We're going to do the 4-7-8 breathing, which is an old pranayama breathing technique I learned many years ago, and it became more popular in the last 5 years. I encourage you to inhale for 4, holding that breath for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and then exhaling slowly through your mouth through the count of 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhaling again for 4. Hold that breath and go ahead for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Then exhale through your mouth to the count of 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lower your hands. As you look at the screen, do you notice that the fish might look a little different to you? Maybe you see a little bit more in this picture. More color, more light. What we did was to reset your central nervous system. That is something that is essential. Now, this fish is so powerful in what it's able to do in resetting itself that we're going to do a meditation with it. And that meditation is going to be with a video. Ricky, could we have that video, please? And looking at transformation, when you stay in the light, when you walk in the power of love, you are able to transform. I'd like for you to allow yourself now to experience transformation with the beautiful peacock flounder. Give yourself a hug. If you want to cover your eyes, you can do that, but I don't encourage you to do that. At this point, I'm just encouraging you to hold yourself. Ricky, if you could strike the play, please. Okay, thank you, Ricky. Moving to the slides, I'd like for you to just inhale and exhale. And let's take a lesson from nature, which is this: you have the courage to begin again. This flounder learns to begin again just shortly after its birth in its juvenile stage. But it also begins again, even in a moment if it gets trapped, as you saw was under the sand. It has to clear its eyes to move forward. You have that ability, and that will propel you to achieve the change that you want to create in the world. What I'd like for you to do now is to make a note for yourself. If in any way you found some inspiration or a thought from that video, maybe it is, I can begin again. I'm ready to begin again. Or maybe it's, I'll be still enough so that I can stand and rise. Something interesting to know about this is that this fish actually teaches other creatures under the ocean. They watch, other creatures actually watch this fish as it goes through in its patterns to be able to excel. And one of the smartest sea creatures, I believe, is the octopus. And the octopus spends a lot of time studying the peacock flounder. So maybe we should too. Going to take a moment now to inhale and exhale. Ricky, could we have the next slide, please? Okay, we would go forward again. There we go. This is probably the most, I say this about everything and my students say it, and it's true. I fall in love with everything in nature. Each time I prepare each week a new thing. And this is the comb jelly. The comb jelly is not a jellyfish, but the comb jelly actually is the beginning of time. It might be the very oldest of all creatures that exist. And the comb jelly has muscles and neurons. The comb jelly actually is being studied now by scientists to figure out life, and they think it's going to help them with humans and people around the world who are needing assistance, and not just them. But there's an interesting story about the comb jelly. The comb jelly was considered a nuisance and people were trying to kill it. The comb jelly was carried in the ballast of ships, interestingly enough, from the Atlantic Ocean to the Black Sea and beyond, which wasn't its normal habitat. And the comb jelly is wonderful for the environment. It takes care of things. It eats the zooplankton just like the peacock flounder. But this life force, because that's what it is, was wreaking havoc. People wanted to kill it. They were figuring out ways to get rid of it, not honoring that it had been misplaced and misunderstood. I think a lot of us can identify with that, especially as BIPOC persons, that there's this desire to eliminate what people don't understand, as opposed to slowing down to understand. So through this creature, we have the lesson that we learn about the power of allowing ourselves to rise. Could we have the next slide, please, Ricky? When we breathe deeply, we breathe a breath until sweet air extinguishes the burn of fear in your lungs. Every breath is a beautiful refusal to become anything less than infinite. And D. Antoinette Foy said that. Now, I think that this is really interesting because fear works on both sides. Could you imagine the comb jelly? They had to be afraid. And those who didn't understand it had to be afraid. And maybe even the new creatures in the sea that are seeing these comb jellies were like, oh, what is this? But when they took the time to understand it, now it was like, okay, we need this. Let's have some inclusion here. Diversity is maybe not a bad thing. Maybe we just need to figure out how to maintain the balance. So that was from slowing down. And that's what we need to do, to slow down so that we can rise up and rise together. Next slide, please. In this video, which we're going to go to, it is an exercise briefly with the beautiful, beautiful comb jelly. As we rise, I'm going to encourage you to do something else because they don't necessarily stay still, they move. So I'm going to encourage you to progress that hug into a rocking sensation. Earlier during the yoga segment, I spoke about the power of the hips. In the hips, there's so much that we can store in there. Trauma, stress, tension can be in the hips. If you want to stand or if you want to sit, you can rock yourself and just allow yourself to feel cradled and embraced and welcomed because you are in a safe, judgment-free space that's welcoming you and accepting all of you just as you are. Ricky, please. I encourage you to just take a moment and hold in that steadiness of the water and that sound of calm, the luminescence that you saw, knowing that that is nature, that is part of who you are. And it's cheering for you, just as you're cheering for it. I don't know if you've ever experienced trees, but trees have this magnificent way of communicating with us. Not only do they communicate with each other, but they communicate with us. Oh, I think that's great. Letting that communication, that tree of life, register within and around you is something really interesting, because although the comb jelly lives in the ocean, it's considered scientifically as a tree of life. Let's go to the next slide, please, Ricky. I love this quote. It says, "Hope deferred maketh the heart sick, but desire fulfilled is a tree of life." It's actually from the Tanakh, but it is fact to me. Having hope sustains us. Hope for the IRA. Hope, I don't know if you know about this new story, but some Dutch students were able to create a car that eats carbon, which is amazing. Hope for a carbon dividend. Hope for each other. And as we continue, that gives us life. That breathes forth in us. We had the power of climate optimism earlier. That's something to bear in mind. But what if you can't find hope? What if you're in the moment like that? I encourage you to journal. I encourage you to write your thoughts down and then go back to them in those times where you feel like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Or connect yourself with little parts of nature. I have a shell here. This is actually a shell from Italy. I have 3 of them. And I connect myself. Like, my souvenirs aren't necessarily things that I buy. They're things that I find in nature, and it'll connect me to happy time. These are actually from where Kourtney Kardashian married Travis Barker, but I was there first. There is a story there. I was able to connect to do some scuba diving for the first time. Next slide, please. The tree of life is the essence of our being. We are all trees, and CCL, we could say, is a tree, and we are the different branches that are there giving the light in the world to encourage others. But again, to move forward, we need to be still. I do like that CCL has a culture of encouraging stillness through the resilience-based action team, which I am now doing, as Patricia said, some of those ongo sessions and doing other work. So I would encourage you to tap in to other trees, not just CCL, but other trees to help your leaves to flourish, because you're a branch, but you're also a tree in some other place to somebody else. So feed yourself. One thing I'll tell you about the trees, you might notice that leaves are falling a little bit earlier than they are supposed to. The trees are so smart that they figured out that, oh my gosh, we don't have enough water. Let's lose some leaves so that we survive. So sometimes we have to simplify. The tree is still the tree. The tree is still beautiful, but it let go some of the leaves so that it could flourish. Also, trees have a system, and some trees are stronger than others, where they go underground and they communicate with each other at night. And they communicate like a guild with other plants. And they decide, okay, I'm going to get some water today. I'm going to do this. You can get this around 5 o'clock. Literally, this is how trees work. I recently got certified in permaculture and found this information mind-blowing. If nature is so good at taking care of itself, I think it's a cue for us to do the same. The video, please, Ricky. In this next video, the tree of life. It's okay if we can just restart to the beginning. In the next video, the tree of life, I'd like for you to sit back for a moment. Sit back for a moment. Hand to your heart space. You know, there's the saying, guard your heart, for in it is life, right? Have your hand to your heart space and just slow your breathing to a comfortable pace for you. And take in this tree of life moment. Go ahead, Ricky, please. How was that for you? Taking a moment, thinking about the birds, the light, the love, the information, the power, and the education from the trees. Let's inhale just a collective breath of love, allowing that tree of life to take root within us. And exhaling, slowing your breath. If you can practice even getting your breath to the speed of 5 breaths in a minute, actually scientifically increases your well-being. No joke. So I encourage you to try if you can. My information will be available later so that you can reach out to me if you'd like to. Next slide, please, Ricky. There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you. Dr. Maya Angelou said that, and I agree with her. And sometimes, I mean, if you look at trees, they have different markings on them, right? Trees will tell you stories. They will tell you about how they were planted. If it was done properly, they'll let you know who did what when if you study a tree. What I'd like for you to do now is an exercise of writing. I'd like for you to challenge yourself to write a bit of your story. And to help you to do that, I have some prompts. It's not a lot of time to do it, but it is some time. Next slide, please, Ricky. You can say, I choose, I am, I accept. Giving yourself a self-care, empowering statement so that you will rise. And that might be, I choose to love myself a bit more. I choose to treat myself with kindness. I am wonderful, and I am wonderful because giving yourself a little love note. Believe it or not, your cells listen to your words. Speak some love over yourself. Or maybe it's moving forward. You remember I told you about the fish. If one eye is not able to look forward, then it can't move. And if the other one cannot look behind, it can't move the way it would. Its hormones, which allow it to camouflage and change colors, don't work properly. And so that can happen with us. So I encourage you now to take a moment, and we'll do this with silence. And let's see, how much time shall we have? Let's do this for 3 minutes, just 3 minutes to write down affirming yourself with love. I'm going to mute myself and also turn off my camera so that you can focus. We have a minute remaining. Encourage you to take a breath while you're doing this. Inhale twice. Slowly exhaling for 4, 3, 2, and 1. You might find some more to write. Okay, we are back. I'd like for you to take a moment now with what you've written, and we're going to go to the video. The next one, which is our last video, and it is a still image. And I'd like for you to sit in this image. And if there's more that you're inspired to write as this video progresses, I encourage you to do so. I'm going to turn off my camera again so that you can focus and write in peace. Thank you. Thank you, Ricky. I hope that you love that music as I do. I can feel even just the calm that came over me. My voice feels different, and I just feel that pause. Classical music, by the way, is really good for you. Mozart is proven to help. That's why they give babies a lot of Mozart. I encourage you to avail yourself of music. Writing with music is a really good way to stimulate your thoughts. If you get stuck, introduce some breath work, that inhaling. I told you before, take that breath, inhaling twice, and slowly exhaling for 4, 3, 2, and 1. I'd love to see what that experience was like for you. Put it in the chat, or you can put it in the Q&A. Ricky, we have a poll. Thanks. When you're ready, we can load the poll. Okay, so let's see, what would this answer be for you with regard to this poll? Question number 3, would you enter a self-care plan? Do you have a self-care plan? I'm going to tell you that having a self-care plan is your guarantee of success. I've tried regular journaling and I just put it down and then I remember. I have a joke with myself. I bought this book last year to do keeping myself organized. As you can see, the book is empty. And so I'm making myself use it this year. And I realized that I think a little differently. So I created something which Ricky is going to drop in the chat for you as my gift to you, which is a 28-day challenge. And the 28-day challenge actually has 27 days from today, because today you stuck it out. You came here to this event. If you're watching this on the record, feel free to email me and I will send you the takeaway that's going to be dropped in the chat for everybody else. But this 28-day challenge is a challenge for you to allow yourself every day to engage in some form of self-care. It doesn't have to be extravagant, just something, just every day. And to help you with that, I've also included 30 different choices of what counts as self-care, so that you will be able to not have to think about it. Because sometimes like, okay, so what am I doing? Is it self-care? I don't know. You know, I'm going to show you something that's self-care. This is water. And I told you about having something to drink. I'm going to show you my savor meditation. Holding this water, thanking the water for what it is, what it's designed to do. Taking a sip and slowly swallowing it as you say thank you. Do it the first time without saying thank you and savoring it. Do it the second time, savoring it, and see if you don't have a different experience. Believe it or not, in that 1 minute, that is self-care. Hydrate, number 1. You might find, like a lot of my clients, that the water tastes sweeter. It tastes, or you might figure out that you might need to change your water filter. There are a lot of different things that happen in the midst of slowing down to savor. But that savor meditation is a powerful one. So I encourage you to do that, even to slow down when you're eating your food. One of those self-care techniques is to get a good meal in. A lot of times we eat on the run, eat on the car. I used to drive a stick shift car, eat in the car while driving stick shift, going to my next mediation, because I used to mediate a lot of conflicts, and did all that stuff. I was just like, oh my gosh, to get to the next point. But I never knew what I was really tasting. I was just eating. So take that moment as your self-care. I love that there's this poll that says that you'll do it. So the download is there in the chat for you. We are at our final slide. And the final slide is how, and Ricky, if you can pull that for us, please. Ricky, you're doing an amazing job, by the way. You are a superhero today. We thank you deeply. Our last slide is how to stay connected. I want to thank you. and I took a feather. Feather, the quill, the writing tool. The feather also is said to have good thoughts associated with it. I sometimes pick up feathers from the ground and think, whatever bird that left it behind. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for shining and investing in yourself. I want to thank you for being my peers in CCL. I want to thank you for being you. If there's any way that I can help you, or if you want to keep connected, I know that I Am Arlie Speaks was offered, but the Cleanse Your Cache is a better way. There's also a link there if you want to access. I keep it updated with information in the profile, like how you can support the work that I do. A lot of it is volunteer, or how you can just connect with me. And if I can help you in any way, write me an email. I am not too shy. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And to the interpreter, much love to you. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Citizens Climate Lobby's training program. You can tune into more episodes anywhere podcasts are available. Inspired by what you heard today? Join Citizens Climate Lobby to advocate for bipartisan climate solutions. Go to community.citizensclimate.org to find more trainings, resources, your local chapter, national action teams, discussion forums, and more. Be sure to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and Instagram @CitizensClimate. We also invite all of our listeners to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiration. And together, we are creating the political will for a livable world.